chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation. I was chairman of Mastercoin, where we invented the ICO. Co-founder of Blockchain Capital, the first venture fund in the space. It's on Fund 5.
What's your key project?
Founded Tether.
Yeah.
I have like 200 of them. So I mean,
any key projects?
I mean, they're all pretty key. I mean, we invented the stable coin, which is really changing monetary policies. We invented with BCAP the first security token. Started a number of banks.
What are you trying to do? What is it that you're trying to accomplish with all these companies that you're creating, buying? What's your mission?
Well, so I only take on missions that no one else will or can. So if somebody else is doing it, I'd rather just help you succeed in that thing. So typically the things that I'm doing are helping to pioneer the sort of next step in the staircase. And so that's a lot of what that is. These days, a lot of it's government-centric. We just led a delegation down to El Salvador to spend time with the government there. We're talking to ambassadors and world leaders all over the world to see, what El Salvador is doing. Can this be replicated? Can we continue to expand on it? A lot of that's in the U.S., talking to legislators domestically, as well as on a local or a state level, as well as federally, to civil servants, understanding how the old and the new can win together, so that this is an evolutionary event. One of the most exciting things that we're seeing right now is how this technology can create ubiquitous financial inclusion. You've got 4 to 4.5 billion people in the world that are on or underbanked. This technology is creating an open banking system that provides low-cost access to everyone, as well as high-yielding savings accounts. I mean, this is really transformative stuff. We have the ability, by providing microloans to people in places that otherwise wouldn't have it, the ability to bring 1 billion people out of poverty relatively quickly. So I couldn't be more excited about what technology can do. The world has a lot of, call it, challenges right now. But the good news is that, we also have a lot of innovation. And innovation is likely our answer to most of our problems.
Have you seen a lot more innovation also, like during COVID and after COVID right now? Are you seeing some incredible projects that may not have happened otherwise?
Yeah, so I mean, every one of these situations in life presents an opportunity. COVID was an opportunity to really reevaluate your life and to get your house in order, both literally and figuratively. If you stay hopeful and positive and not find yourself trapped in the fear cycle. And so it's been an opportunity for everyone to take a step back, break any old patterns that are no longer serving you, and an opportunity to think, to dream, to innovate, to create. As I typically say when we're in these bull markets typically produce bull, and bear markets bear fruit. And so anytime we find ourselves in a situation like this, wonderful things typically come out of it. So.
And what have been your key success factors during this period?
Well, I got to spend a lot of time with family. I got to be grounded for the first time in a very long time, rooted. In Puerto Rico, I do a whole lot of things. I'm taking a look at a part of the United States that has historically struggled the most. It wasn't the first state, nor is it the 51st state. In many ways, it looks like and feels like the forgotten state. And so looking kind of at an island that typically would be 10 years behind just because it's on an island, and saying, how do we upgrade that energy grid to produce abundant, renewable, sort of low-cost, cheap electricity? How do we solve problems like food security? 80 to 85% of the food there is imported. And as a result of that, you've got major health issues. How do you look at the healthcare system? How do you look at infrastructure in general? A lot of hospitality development. One of the problems Puerto Rico has is it doesn't have enough keys, enough rooms to be competitive with a neighboring island a neighboring nation like the Dominican Republic. And so a lot of my work was spent in Puerto Rico. I'm always active, on the innovative front, and then clearly politically trying to understand how do we address the system of governance, right? Our government, that thing that governs over us, and how do we get a government that better serves us? And that requires people getting involved, right? Too many of us are not engaged, and we're not paying attention. And it's incredibly important that we are a part of the process, because the future is going to happen to you or it's going to happen with you. I encourage everyone to get involved and to be part of the solution.
What are your plans for the next 12 months?
Well, the next 12 months, I've got a number of innovative projects where I'm a founder. I probably have 5 to 10 new businesses that I'll be launching over the course of the next year. Very involved with media and how we, deliver the message. How do we, give a voice to the voiceless? How do we bring our world back to unity? Certainly in the United States, we are very polarized. We're very divided politically, economically, racially to some extent. And how do we find a path back to unity? Because that's really the only path forward. We can't live in a world where we're so divided and unwilling to even engage others in conversation. It's important that we talk. We don't have to agree. But through the conversation, at least we can understand the perspective of the other party. And we can agree to disagree, but through that understanding, we can find compromise. And so I'm very involved in politics. Lately, it's been the New York City elections. And very excited. It looks like Eric Adams is going to be the next mayor of New York City. I don't know if you saw that he announced that New York City is, going to embrace innovation and technology. They're saying, hey, New York City, Miami, you've had a great run through COVID, but we also see what you see, and we're going to be a part of this process. So very excited about that. Mayor Suarez in Miami, obviously having done a great job leading the way from a leadership perspective, but we're also seeing it from a legislative perspective. States like Wyoming have passed 19 laws to embrace innovation. Conversations with South Dakota, North Dakota, Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Texas. We're seeing a lot of interest throughout the U.S. to embrace change. Because take a place like Wyoming, historically its revenues have come from fossil fuels. And it's pretty clear that long term that is not going to be a reliable source of income. And so you got to start looking for new industries. And technology and innovation is clearly the one that can expand rapidly to backfill these losses of revenue so that these states can stay sustainable. Internationally, obviously, there's a lot of interest. What El Salvador has done is now picked up with Paraguay, Panama, Mexico, Nicaragua, Brazil. We're seeing a lot of interest throughout Latin America. Many Caribbean nations are also following suit right now. This last few days have been Africa Blockchain Week. There's a lot of African nations that are interested in how technology can transform their nations, and they're best suited for rapid change because they don't have incumbents, right? They don't have legacy infrastructure that is trying to protect the status quo. They're in a position to sort of leapfrog in the same way that Africa skipped over wireless telecommunications and went straight to wireless. They're not going to build out a traditional land titling system. They're likely going to use technology like blockchain to enable that. They're not likely going to build out a banking system like the one that we've utilized. They're going to launch a low-cost open banking system. So really excited by everything that can happen in the developing world. So I'm an unusual person to try and say this is like what I do, because I do a lot of things. I do everything I can with the time that I've been given.
With a huge helicopter overview.
Yeah, definitely. When you've started so many things and you've worked in so many industries and you've been blessed to spend time with so many interesting people, pioneers, across all fields, you do start to get that 70,000-foot sort of perspective where you get a view almost from space as to the state of the world, but also an opportunity when you've been on the forefront of innovation to really see into the future, to see around corners, and how do you bring that all together so that we can all for one and all for all, how do we win together?